Good afternoon. This is Soni Irabor here, and we're having a live show. We're going to discuss a lot of interesting things, and because I'm not starting rather early, I will shut up and just go straight to the point and welcome you all. But you know who the guest is? I'll tell you in a moment. He was once here before, just months ago, and of course his name is, we call him a household name in Nigeria because he's talked about his relationship in Nigeria, his experiences, and even his family. But the most interesting part is what inspires him, but that will come later. He's the Consul General of the United States Embassy in Nigeria, and his name is Jeffery Hawkins. And today we're discussing a lot of things. The young African leadership program that is about to take place. Also, coming elections in Nigeria. And you know, this is the period in the next 1 year. We're likely to have at least 3 or more, general elections, presidential elections. Some states are trying to come back. You know what I mean. Their terms have ended and some are trying to come back. Some are trying to get into the seat for the first time. We'll be discussing Ebola. Wow. I've never heard of a disease that strikes so fast and so deadly, Ebola. And it started from somewhere in Central Africa. It has never been in Nigeria or was never reported in Nigeria until recently. Then, of course, we'll also be talking about security. Boko Haram. Welcome to Soni Irabor Live. We always want to discuss the way things ought to be or how we should be looking at things. Mr. Hawkins, sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here.
For the first time, and I'm going to report myself on air, my guest has beat me to it. He beat me to it. He was here in the studio before me. I don't want to tell this story any more than I should, to be ashamed. But anyway, I apologize publicly before God and man. So how are you today, sir?
I'm very well. I'm, again, really thrilled to be here with you again. I really enjoyed our conversation last time. Look forward to another one. And if you'll permit me, if I could just also wish your listeners Eid Mubarak, because this is a very important holiday coming up, and a lot of people are getting together with their families. And
Barka de Salah, all of you out there. He beat me to it again, but you see, there's a spirit. There's a spirit. Eid Mubarak. Barka de Salah. My man called me and said, "Sir, can I go for Salah?" I said, "Please, just go." He looked at me again. I quickly said, "Okay, take. Enjoy yourself." Right. Let's look at there are 3 or 4, maybe more issues that we want to discuss today. But I'm a bit curious about the young African leadership. You want to talk about that first?
I'd love to. Yeah, let's talk about that. That's great. So, obviously, young people are the future of this continent. I think we all know that. It goes without saying. And the United States government has certainly picked up on that as well. And we have a number of really interesting programs designed to encourage bridges between the United States and the young people of Africa, to encourage the building of capacity, to encourage the building of relationships, and to reinforce the future that these young people represent. And obviously, Nigeria is an incredibly young country, bursting with energy, and we want to tap into that. One of the ways that the president decided that he was going to do that was to design this Young African Leadership Initiative.
Okay.
And we have taken incredibly promising young Africans from across the continent, identified them. Here in Nigeria, I think we had something like 15,000 people apply, and we picked 50.
50,000 people applied.
15.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot.
It is, and we identified 50, and I think of those, a slightly smaller number ended up going to Washington. But that gives you an idea for how competitive this program is.
Right.
And there's 500 young people from across the continent have gone. They're in the United States.
And you took 50
now.
from Nigeria.
We took 50, and they are super. I've met them all, and they are really, really impressive people. They're in the United States now. Starting Monday, so the 28th through the 30th, they will be meeting with President Obama. There's a big summit that's happening now with all these young people. They've been studying in American educational institutions across the country. When they come back, They will have internship programs, again, across the continent, often with American companies or American institutions or, African ones as well. And then we will continue to have a relationship with these young people and continue to reinforce their progress as they move up the ranks. It's a great program.
Okay, we'll naturally move on to the bigger ladder, which is the African Leaders Summit.
Yes.
And that's happening this week as well.
It's the 4th through the 6th of August.
Okay.
And interesting, the two things are not unrelated. So the YALI program is focused on tomorrow. The African Leaders Summit obviously is focusing on today's leadership, but to discuss, among other things, the future of the continent and the way that young people can fit into that. So for 3 days, and again, this has presidential attention. This is a presidential initiative. Heads of state from across the continent are convening in Washington. There's 3 days of discussions. There's a day devoted to business. So CEOs from across the continent and from the United States that do business with Africa are coming together. They're meeting to discuss challenges, problems, opportunities. Civil society is involved. They're going to talk about democracy and governance. The president and members of his cabinet are going to engage extensively with these leaders. And the idea is not to make speeches or to stand up on a podium.
Exactly, I was going that way. But
it's really to discuss and to get some real back and forth and some creative solutions to the continent's problems. So very exciting.
Well, one thing is, I'm praying and hoping, this is not a question, that all the African leaders are united in their effort to solve the common African problem, And I hope that will come out in the course of the discussions.
That's certainly our hope. And we as a government have really focused a lot on a number of different problems, whether it's health-related issues like AIDS and malaria or power. I think we've talked before about Power Africa, our big initiative to promote generation of power for Africa's future. We're really focused on these big issues here, and we're willing to put our treasure and toil behind those initiatives. So it's exciting, and I'm very proud of our engagement here.
Okay, I'm taking it now to health. You see, you seem to be leading my thoughts on them. Ebola struck a few weeks ago in Guinea and I think Sierra Leone. Liberia. And now it has been reported last week in Nigeria. Now, Nigeria is we always say we are large countries, but anytime I hear this thing called large, I think more of China and India, where population is maybe 10 times more than, other countries.
Right.
If it strikes in Nigeria, my worry is, because Nigerians travel a lot, it might just spread. It's not you I should be asking, it should be the Ministry of Health, but since, the United States has taken an interest in solving or determining what this thing called Ebola is, that's why I'm asking you. What do you think can be done? Can it be controlled at all?
Well, obviously, as you said, it's a very serious public health concern, and the disease is quite deadly, and there are very high mortality rates when people contract the disease, and it does appear that there has been one case here in Nigeria
reported, though.
Reported. And according to the news reports, it was a gentleman coming from Liberia that traveled to Nigeria and passed away here, unfortunately. Our Center for Disease Control has a office in Abuja, and they work very closely with Nigerian public health authorities. They're certainly working diligently with them to determine the facts in the case and discuss any necessary measures that need to be taken, but it's a very serious concern.
They're sending some messages around now that we should be more careful, we should clean our hands, wash our hands, we shouldn't shake hands anyhow. Well, I shook hands with you.
Well, I'm not sure we're advising people not to shake hands, but obviously
it's contagious, is that?
It is. Sanitation is a very important part of it, as I understand it. I'm not a medical professional, but my understanding is that hand washing is a very good way to help prevent the spread.
Yes.
Also, sort of not eating bushmeat and things like that.
Bushmeat,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes,
another way
yes. Oops.
to deal with that.
I don't know whether I have a confession to make on that, but please go on. Yeah, right. Okay. For all of you who are listening on this program, listening in on this program, please understand that when we're talking about health issues, sanitation, I think preservation rather is key, and it's important that you make an effort to be sanitation aware, to be basically clean, and those people who just pick your noses with your fingers, please don't do that. You know what I mean? And other things like that.
Again, I'm not sure that's part of the official guidance here, but one thing I do want to note about Ebola, though, is that it isn't an airborne disease. It is not.
It's not airborne.
Right.
Okay,
So,
but it's contagious.
So it is, but you contracted by touching bodily fluids and that sort of thing.
Okay.
It's not. It doesn't travel through the air if you're in the same room as somebody that has it.
Otherwise, there will be carnage.
So people should be very careful and certainly pay a lot of attention to cleanliness, but they don't need to freak out.
Okay, we'll just take our first break now. Welcome to the program again, and this is Soni Irabor live featuring Mr. Jeffery Hawkins of the US Embassy. He's the number 2. He's the US Consul General, and he's been here twice. This is his second time, that is. And I tell you, anytime I have him on the show, I know I'm getting some quality advice. Talking of which, we're moving to elections that are starting in a few days, I should say. Less than 2 weeks. Osun State is going to have an election, and there was one in Ekiti State. And when you first came, we discussed generally how these things should work. First, what's your assessment of what happened in Ekiti State?
Okay. Well, obviously, we're moving into an incredibly important period for Nigeria. And it's one that the international community is paying a lot of attention to. And the sort of advantage we have is that there are a few of these state contests before we get into the big event in February, and that gives us a sense for how INEC is doing, how the political parties are behaving, whether everyone's on track for the elections.
Yes.
I think our sense from Ekiti was that was, generally speaking, the case, that it was security was good in the state, that INEC performed credibly in its administration of the elections, and that the results of the elections reflected the will of the people of the state. I was quite impressed with the reaction of Governor Fayemi after the election was over, and he immediately conceded and said, "This represents the people's
showed
voice."
some good quality in him, I must say, as a politician. Now, Osun is next, as I said, in a few days.
Right.
Well, I don't know what your take is. Do you expect Ekiti to replicate in Osun?
Well, I certainly hope so. I think Chairman Jega of INEC has paid very close attention to the lessons of some earlier elections. And, Anambra, there were a few bumps on the road, and I think they've worked very hard to address those issues. We've engaged really rather extensively, particularly with INEC and also with the political parties, sort of at the political level, the ambassador and myself, but also at the technical level. So USAID and others trying to address challenges, concerns, and all the rest. And I can only hope that we're set up for a good election in Osun. We were there. I was there last week, Wednesday and Thursday. Things seem good.
Okay.
And obviously, the United States government, the United States mission, will have a very large observation mission in Osun on election day.
Well, usually there are some anticipations that because of the way it happened in Ekiti State, it's possible that maybe people, got taken unawares or something like that, so they'll be more prepared and all of that. And sometimes that is usually interpreted to mean, there's going to be trouble or this and that. Do you think that will happen?
Well, as Friends of Nigeria, one of the points that we've been making here in Nigeria, the ambassador and myself, but also our senior leadership in Washington, who have reached out in advance of these elections to the candidates and to INEC and others, is that you cannot have good elections in a violent atmosphere. And so the basic fundamental issue that needs to be addressed before all the other issues can get addressed is peace. You need to have
Peace.
peaceful elections.
And so all stakeholders must commit to peace.
That's right. And if the opposition or if the the ruling party were to engage in that kind of violence, that is going to mar the results of the election. That will mar the credibility that those actors have with the international community, and it will certainly damage Nigeria's democracy. So we need to avoid that. I'm hopeful that everyone understands that message and that election day will be peaceful.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Very soon, some people will be calling you, and the callers, they will let us know their thoughts, and they will be asking questions, but not before we touch on the all-important security issues that is bedeviling Nigeria. I don't know. I just had hoped that in my years of broadcasting, doing journalism and things like that, yes, I've seen violence, but I've never seen the type that was so guerrilla and so unpredictable as this one.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you, you've been here now a few years. Is this your worst challenge in any of your assignments, security-wise, or?
Well, I mean, I've served in some tough places, Afghanistan in the middle of a war and all that stuff. So I wouldn't go that far. And I will say that I'm here in Nigeria with my family. So, we're not in a war zone. That said,
I like that. For you to bring your family, definitely we're not in a war zone.
No,
Yes.
we're not.
Okay.
This is a sovereign nation with a functioning government, and by and large, people go about their lives peacefully.
Yes.
But that said, the challenge of Boko Haram is immense, and certainly in the 2 years that I've been here, we have watched this really dastardly terrorist organization ratchet up the violence in ways that are very, very, very disturbing. And the taking of those girls in Chibok I'm sure from Boko Haram's point of view, the unintended consequence of really focusing world attention on this problem, and I think that's a positive thing. But that's just one sort of crystallizing event. There have been so many, as so many Nigerians are painfully aware, whether it was school children that were murdered brutally before the Chibok thing, or the constant series of bombings that we've had go on. Their means, their method, their ideology is absolutely abhorrent to Americans and abhorrent to Nigerians. And so we're really interested in helping the Nigerian government struggle with that.
Do you think it would be easy to solve this problem, at least through your help?
Well, obviously, it's not easy at all. It's a huge challenge. And there are lots of elements to it. There's the security part of it, which a lot of folks have focused on. And that's important. And we're working very closely with the Nigerian government in a lot of different respects on that side. But there's also the wider issues, the things that drive that sort of frustration and violence. And it is hugely important that the Nigerian government, focus on the security side as they're doing, but also make sure that their security services, that the military are respecting the rights of their citizens, northern citizens. They're making sure that their development agencies are out there helping the people of those states that are affected by that, and demonstrating to the people, particularly of northeastern Nigeria, that they are citizens in full standing along with everyone else in this country, and that those Boko Haram people are aliens that have no business in this country.
That's a fundamental point you just raised. They're aliens, you said.
Right.
Is it true that they're aliens?
I don't necessarily mean by citizenship. I just mean by ideology.
By their ideology and their actions.
Right.
Okay. All right. And then secondly, I'm wondering, as a bona fide Nigerian, I think that the way information is flying around is so sometimes not too coordinated, and social media is not helping issues. How do you think that's going to affect the efforts of trying to gather intelligence and things like that?
Well, I mean, what is hugely important in this case, as is so often the case when you're fighting insurgencies or terrorist organizations like this, is communication between the government and the people. Now, we're offering some resources in terms of aerial surveillance and all the rest, but the best way to get at these guys is human intelligence. And the best way to get human intelligence is to have the people of the areas affected trust the government, want to come in, give information, talk to them. And so the more credible the government is, the more forthright it is in its dealings with its people, the more they really demonstrate that they're concerned for the safety and security of people of northern Nigeria, the more likely that information is to flow.
And what's your advice to Nigerians generally? How should they be handling this kind of thing?
Well, one of the things...
I mean, the average citizens and all that.
One of the things I really would like to say to your listeners is I do hope that Nigerians from across the country take ownership of this problem.
Yeah.
This is not a northern problem. This is the Nigerian problem.
So it's a common problem.
And I really do hope before, God forbid anything untoward happens in the South, that Nigerians from southern Nigeria see this as a problem too and really focus on it in a constructive way.
All right. This is Inspiration Radio, and we're listening to a fine gentleman that I admire so much. We'll talk about his family later, but I'm going to take a short break now and ask how good and pleasant sound of the new breed. How good and pleasant is life? I know it's very good and pleasant. After that, we'll take a short break.
From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. And there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common land, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every man. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I just cannot comprehend what all this fighting is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the
Jeffery Hawkins, US Consul General, is our guest on Soni Irabor Live, Inspiration 92.3 FM. And of course, time for calls. You have any question? I can see the phone blinking already. I know, your friends are blinking already. And if you want to send us Twitter, IFM, that's at IFM923, at Irabor Soni. And for Facebook, go straight to my Facebook, Soni Irabor. And those of you who are in my group, I now have group, Soni Irabor Live Group. Look for it on the BB and look for it on Facebook. You will get me there. I'm trying to create a Twitter one. It's difficult. They will show me. Don't worry. They'll show me. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Omoyele Isaac Success.
Omoyele Isaac Success. Wow. You're successful.
It's very, very, very successful.
Thank you for
It's
that.
in my journey.
Go ahead.
Okay, sir, I am really enjoying your program, and it's wow. Having the US Consul General with you it's been awesome. Thank you very much, sir, for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, a quick one.
Yes.
He was talking about the Young African Leadership Initiative. I just want to ask him now, what are the criteria they actually looked at when selecting those 50 young leaders?
Okay.
What are the criteria they actually looked at?
Okay. All right. We'll let him answer that question. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You want to go straight to that?
Sure, great question. I appreciate that. Well, obviously there was a formal application process, and if people go online, they can learn more about the YALI program, and if they're interested for future years. And I really want to encourage your young listeners to consider that as an opportunity next year.
Okay.
We actually, because of the numbers across the continent were so great, we actually brought in a separate consulting firm to do an initial cut of the paper dossiers of the people that applied, and then we brought literally hundreds of young Nigerians in to our embassies and consulates around the continent and interviewed them directly. And what we were looking for, of course, was their current accomplishments, their potential as future leaders of this continent, their ability to articulate a clear vision for the continent, for their country, for themselves, and people that would be excellent ambassadors for Nigeria or from whatever country they came from.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling from Ultima, and my name is Ola.
Hola, how are you? Go straight to the point with your question.
Yeah, number one, I want to thank the US Consulate General for honoring your request.
Thank you.
And I want to ask that as touching the security matters in Nigeria, what specifically are the US government doing to help us solve it? Because he says his family is here. Well, his family is not in Maiduguri, Borno, or those foreign states. And my concern is that it is not them, that it is not us today. What of tomorrow? You understand that these are things we should not say kindly or whatever. Then two, elections. I was sad at Ekiti that our military that can also be insurgents is what they are using to police election, whatever. Someone was even saying that they put guns to people's heads and insisted that they voted for the ruling party. I don't know how true that is. You understand?
Okay.
But these are things that the international observers, which country outside Nigeria uses soldiers to ensure election?
Okay. Thank you. Right. Well, did you get these two questions? The
Right.
first one is your family is not in the north, but we with you in Lagos.
Yeah.
And so security issue, can you ensure the fact that how can the US truly help in that wise? And then the second one, soldiers claimed there were allegations that soldiers put guns to people's heads to vote. I don't know about that.
Right.
But she also said unconfirmed reports. So
Right.
what's your reaction to those?
Okay. On security, obviously addressing the security concerns here in Nigeria are first and foremost a Nigerian problem.
Nigerian problem.
So it is the Nigerian, it's the federal republic, it's the state governments, it's the security services, it's everything. Those are the primary actors in this thing. That said, I do think the international community, and specifically the United States, can be very helpful. And we have done quite a lot. Whether it's our work with the security service to train and professionalize Nigerian security services or military units, whether it's our work with law enforcement working on things like bomb detection and responding to IEDs and that sort of thing, whether it's our work with some of Nigeria's sort of more elite military units that might potentially be involved in a rescue attempt for the girls or in other actions. And then a whole series of much wider things that we do that aren't directly security related, but feed into the security picture. So whether it's, assistance programs and health programs and education and all those, hundreds of other things that we do. And the second question, the democracy part, that feeds into it too. People need to feel like, they have ownership for this government that is addressing this problem. So on the elections, I think it's, again, ultimately it's for the Nigerian people and specifically the Nigerian government security services to decide what's appropriate to ensure security in a state when there's elections. It is my understanding that the military has played, traditionally plays a role. Generally, the commissioner of police in a state is responsible for the election security package, but that the military does help the police and other agencies on election day assure security. I don't personally see any problem with that as long as everyone behaves responsibly and in line with law and regulation and all the rest. The international community was well represented in Nikiti, so and my folks from my consulate, folks from the embassy were there, and we never saw. We were not party to any specific incidents involving military forces, nor have I heard credible complaints of widespread involvement of the military. So that's pretty much all I can say about that. I think security was good on election day in Nikiti. We're not aware of serious violations by military forces. If such violations come to light, we'd certainly look at that.
Okay. Hello. Yes, hello. Go ahead, please.
Soni.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Your voice is low today.
You trust ethics alive. I trust inspiration and science.
Thank you.
Jeffrey, good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, it's your son.
Excuse me?
As your son.
My
son that said, Daddy, how you did today? Oh?
He listens.
My
son is great. Unfortunately, he's on vacation with his grandparents, so he's not around right now.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy with you. I was listening to you. No blame game. Here, we keep on playing blame game. Some of us are blaming the military, blaming the president, but in your own case, you are preparing solution.
Yeah.
I see America as world police. And I want you to do that for us, please. Keep on doing that. Some time ago, I was feeling bad when I hear in our media here, America said Nigeria will split in 2015, Nigeria will not exist in 2015. But today, listening to you, I'm so happy. You never mentioned anything of such. All you are doing now is to keep us together. Yeah. So I want to say thank you once more, my brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do that for us, please. Thank you. Chief Soni.
Thank you so much.
I told you, I trust you. I trust Inspiration FM.
Thank you,
my brother.
Thank you. Hello.
Can I just say one thing about that caller? I really appreciate that because, I've been here, like I said, for about 2 years now, and I've had a bit of an opportunity to get to know this wonderful country and to get to know the wonderful people of this wonderful country.
Yes.
And this is not a country that's on the road to perdition and is going to split up or anything else. It is an incredibly resilient place. It's facing real challenges. It has a lot of advantages too, and a lot of inner strength. And I think that Nigerians can rise to the challenges that they face.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Uncle Soni.
You're a great guy. Thank you for listening and staying quiet. How are you? What's your name?
My name is Ade Adefemi.
Yes.
I first of all, I want to say to the Consulate General, are you there? Are you listening?
I am.
Okay. I think I like you. You're a good guy. Your PR skills are excellent, and And the way you've been answering the questions, like just like the last caller said, I'm really impressed with them.
Good.
But I have two questions for you. First of all, what does the you talked about the Ebola outbreak.
Yes.
Now, how will that? I don't know if Uncle Soni had asked you that question. I dashed out for a few minutes before I got back. How will that affect Nigerians wanting to travel abroad? I know that security issues have already cost some. I mean, there's a belief out there that because you're a Nigerian, the security issues here, you go through the needle's eye, sort of, to get into the U.S. But now that there's Ebola, which is even more dangerous than the security threat. What will be the situation? Will it be more difficult for Nigerians to get into the U.S.? That's question one. Then second question is the YALI program. I'm a young man. I'm in my early 30s, and but we never heard anything about that YALI program. It would have been something I would have loved to apply myself. I do a bit of youth development work here in Nigeria, and it would have been something that would have been very useful to me. So I wanted to know the YALI program. What was the? How did you broadcast it? Yeah. How was it publicized? And we never got to know about it. I know I'm strong on social media, so I never saw anything on social media either. Right. So those are my two questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
So on Ebola, I just would say that I am not aware of any plans at this point to restrict travel from affected areas or anything like that. Maybe if there's a very serious outbreak, that could come later, but I'm not aware of any planning for that right now. Okay. I do want to. It actually raises something that I'd like to talk about. So I'm going to use the excuse of that the getting through the needle's eye to travel to the United States thing.
Remember, you were asked in the first edition of this program. So
I want to thank your listener for leaving me that opportunity. And actually, I have a little bit of bad news that I wanted to share with your listeners because the State Department worldwide has been having very serious problems with our computer systems for the last week or so. And it has completely slowed and nearly stopped our ability to issue visas. And so I just wanted to let your listeners know
there will be delays.
That there's a problem right now, and they should stay in close touch with us. And if people are considering, getting a visa or whatever, they might want to, if they're not in a hurry, they might want to wait a little bit and let us resolve these problems. My understanding is that the problems are getting fixed, but there's such a large backlog at this point that things are going slowly, and there's a lot of problems with that. So just a sort of an apology to your listeners for a computer problem that was beyond our control, and a request for patience and to let them know that we'll work on that as hard as we can.
Okay.
So that's that. On the YALI thing, it's a great program, and we did everything we could to put it out. It's pretty new. I also want to say to your listener that there's lots of other things that we do with youth.
Okay.
And if he works with youth, in particular, there's a few programs in the consulate here in Lagos. I would really strongly, urge him to come in, see us, talk to us about these things, because there's lots of ways we can promote, Nigerian youth in the future of this country.
Right. Okay. We'll take one more call and then go for commercials. Hello. Hello. Yes. How are you?
I'm fine.
What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Anthony.
Go straight to the point. Yeah.
Vegas. Okay. Hello, Consul Hawkins.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm Anthony, sci-fi fellow.
Oh, good. That's precisely one of the programs I was talking about. Sci-Fi is the Carrington Youth Fellowship Initiative, and it's another great youth program that we have at the consulate.
Okay. Right. You want to ask a question or just saying hello?
No, I actually want to ask a question. I was going to ask you this question offline, but since I have to ask you on the radio now, no problem. In the engagement that your diplomacy sort of has with the Nigerian government, I always try to wonder what's the level of the engagement. Is it just basically advisory, or are there times when you really have to push the government to really go in one direction if it is necessary?
Okay.
Health, organizing elections or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to advise that in 32 seconds we'll be taking some messages, so if you can condense the answer. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I mean, the fact of the matter is whatever country we're operating in, and Nigeria in particular is a sovereign country. So we're not in a position to order a sovereign country to do things. We certainly can offer our advice. We can offer our help. We can offer our financial assistance in certain cases, and in cases where countries behave irresponsibly, we can offer our criticism as well. But Nigeria's problems are Nigeria's problems, and we're here to help. Hi, my name is Jeff Hawkins. I'm the US Consul General in Lagos, Nigeria. My inspiration is my kids. I'm a diplomat, and I'm trying to reach out and understand this great country, Nigeria, that I've been assigned to. And nobody does it better than my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old. My son came home the other day, and he said, "Daddy, I'm a good Nigerian." And I was really proud of him because whether it's his Nigerian dress, whether it's his greeting in the morning, "Daddy, how you day? Fino." That little boy inspires me to love this country, to reach out to Nigerians, and to make the place where I live my home. That's my inspiration. What's yours?
See, this the beauty of that. It's just a good message, and there's a lady in the studio right now who's going to also just tell us about her inspiration. First, why she married Jeff.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I married Jeff because he's a great man.
All right. And what's the inspiration about the whole thing so far?
A great journey so far, and we have a little Nigerian at home that's really delighted to be in Lagos.
Yeah. And also, I'm looking at you. You're so beautiful, if I may say so myself. And then, of course, the smile on your face shows that Jeff has no reason whatsoever to have wrinkles on his face. And what's your stay in Nigeria like? You've been here how many years now?
We've been here for 2 years.
Okay.
I love it. I mean, I really love it. I love the Nigerian enthusiasm. I mean, I love the excitement of my 2 sons when they go out the door and,
You don't look like somebody who has had any child at all.
No, I'm really happy here.
Thank you, and God bless you for honoring us. Huh?
Thank you very much.
I like it when family comes into the studio. You have now come to prove that Inspiration Radio is a truly family radio station. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
All right, now we'll be right back and take some more calls. Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I was a bit worried. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Can I beg you to bring your voice?
Okay, I will do that.
Right.
Honestly, I really appreciate this program, and I thank God for this opportunity to be able to speak with you.
Thank you.
My name is Adiola Gideon.
Okay, Adiola Gideon.
I happen to be a member of the YALI, and I'm very active on the social media. And one thing I appreciate about the program is that prompt reply to, to inquiries.
Mm-hmm.
But being a member, myself and some couple of friends have our reservations concerning the yearly program. Then I would like the ambassador to please come out now and clarify something. The agitation is that is this program not one of those NGOs tactics or strategy to use for the African youth, like to propagate ideas such as the same-sex marriage things and other anti-African doctrines and the rest. That was one.
Okay.
Another thing is
No, sorry. I need you to be brief. Straight to the point.
Corruption is the main problem of Nigeria. How is American government helping Nigeria to fight the problem of corruption in Nigeria? Even at the fact that most of our leaders do not believe that corruption is the main problem we are having in Nigeria.
Okay.
Now, thanks.
Thank you. Well, 2 questions in one. One is the YALI program. He's wondering whether it's not kind of ploy to encourage same-sex marriage. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the second one, of course, was the last one you heard.
Right.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, as far as YALI is concerned, really it's about communication between African youth and about between African youth and the U.S. government and the American people. Mm-hmm. It's up to the participants in the conversation to decide what that conversation is about. Mm-hmm. I don't think that particular issue is anywhere on the agenda, but if it were, that's fine. we can talk about things, and Africa's youth needs to discuss pertinent and important issues for the continent, and their friends in the United States are very interested in having that conversation with them. So, no, are we trying to indoctrinate African youth in a certain way? Absolutely not. Are we interested in hearing from African youth and sharing our points of views on issues of the day? Yes. As far as corruption goes, obviously that is a huge issue. I hear about it all the time. The ambassador hears about it, and it is clearly one of those issues that is preventing Nigeria from leaping forward in the way that it should, particularly on the economic side, and has all sorts of disastrous impacts on democracy and governance and all the rest. And it's one that we're deeply concerned about. We're certainly doing a lot to help out on the law enforcement side. We work with the FCC and others, law enforcement agencies on issues of corruption, and there's lots of engagement in that way. But I think the important thing to remember again is there was a statistic I saw recently, and I'm not going to get the number exactly right, but in 2012, I think something like somewhere over 1,000 U.S. government officials were prosecuted for corruption. So the point being, A, it's not a Nigerian problem, it's a worldwide problem, including an American problem. But B, you got to do something about it.
Absolutely.
And so in the United States, the system is set up in such a way we recognize that that's going to be a problem, but we also fight it through law enforcement and other means. And that's something that Nigeria's got to do, and it's something that we're helping Nigeria do.
Okay, hello. How are you?
Yeah, Soni, please, I call back. I want to talk about this Ebola. You know the ones that are holding that meeting in Calabar?
Mm-hmm.
They said they want to send 6 people in Lagos here. Check them. I think it's better they send them back to their own country rather than bringing them down to Lagos again. And on the corruption issue, the man mentioned,
yes,
the former president has advised, if you know you are not corrupt, travel to America. On their own side, they are doing their own bit. So it's left for us here to play our own role. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello.
Hello, Uncle Soni.
Yes, hi. How are you?
This is Adi from me again.
Okay.
I've been trying to find US Consulate on Twitter. I can't find it. So I need.
Are you on Twitter, by the way?
Yes, I am.
No, I'm asking the US.
We are, and you've stumped me. I don't know what.
Okay, we'll try and get it for you.
We'll get that before the end of the program.
Yes, definitely. Right. Okay. Hello. Yes, how are you? Mm-hmm.
God bless you.
God bless you.
The name is Johnny. Please, thank you, all of you there.
Okay.
You see, what I want to say is President Jonathan is God's project. And I don't believe anybody can stand against it. Why Boko Haram is a devil's project? Anybody working for APC is supporting God's devil's project. Jonathan will become president. That is from a place that feeds this nation. This is important. They are supposed to threaten that.
Can I talk to you? Can I ask you to tone down your voice? You sound very angry, so I'm not hearing you very clearly.
Okay, what I'm saying is,
yes,
President Jonathan is God's project.
Okay.
And all over the world, we equally have devil's project, just like Boko Haram and their sponsors.
Okay.
You see, I can't align myself against God's project because I know God is always the winner.
Okay.
We equally not a party that are sponsoring this Boko Haram.
Okay.
So they can never win. And anybody
Amen to that.
Working with them is against God, and the wrath of God may come upon such people.
Okay. This is Soni Irabor live, proudly so. Who's calling? Hello.
Hello, Uncle Soni.
Yes, hi, how are you? We're about to leave.
All right. Well, my name is Abel.
Okay.
I would like to contribute to your program.
You have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Well, as an American, I think Americans cannot really know all the problems we have with our youth. Are you get me?
Yep.
Now, it is a shame for Nigerian government, you understand, to not be responsible to their responsibility. I believe I appreciate the contribution of that young man, but the truth of the matter is, who asked this country to ask this question, who asked Americans called to help their youth? Number two, who has gone or who has left Nigeria to go and help American youth?
Okay.
Uncle Soni, it's a slap on Nigerian government.
Okay.
You understand?
All right.
But
So,
I'm not saying
no,
that
listen.
hello.
Hello. As I
Hello?
said, I'm appealing to your sensibility. Do not abuse. Make your
No,
point.
I'm
So,
not trying to abuse.
you have
That's
asked.
why I said it's a slap. You
Yes.
understand?
A slap is an abuse.
I'm not trying to.
You want me to cut you
abuse.
off now?
I appreciate the contribution of American government.
Thank you.
But
Let him
I
answer
think-
then.
Yes,
Let him
I
answer.
think Nigerians sit down and work on their home assignment.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Okay. So here we
Okay.
are.
Well, I'm not sure I totally get it, but what I would like to say in response to that caller is that it's a global world, right?
Mhm.
And there's no such thing as just Nigeria and just Nigerian youth and all the rest. We really all need to work together. And what happens in Nigeria impacts us in America very deeply, and we care very much what happens here, not just for altruistic reasons, but for perfectly selfish ones too. We need Nigeria to succeed because that helps America succeed.
Okay.
And the youth is such a key part of that equation, and that's why we reach out to them.
And I think, too, I align my thought with anybody who tries to develop the youth because that's what they need. A legacy must be given that will fashion a path of progress and of leadership. It's very key. So we are through for the rest of it. In fact, we've made up for all the times we lost at the beginning of the program. What's your message to Nigerians?
Well, my first message is that our Twitter account, our Twitter handle is at US Embassy Abuja, all one word. So at US Embassy Abuja, that's us. But other than that, it's just there's so much that ties our two countries together. And there are common challenges to confront, and there are common opportunities to take advantage of. And I see my job as being to help Americans and Nigerians do those things together. And all the things we've talked about, whether it's YALI or the African Leadership Summit or all those other things, they're all about doing those things. And you have our commitment from the highest level, from our president on down, that we're going to do everything we can to make that relationship work.
Thank you so much for being a guest on this program. And of course, I love to your dear wife and all the embassy staff that have come with you.
Yeah.
And you Nigerians that always make this program what it is, I just want to thank you because if it's not you, we will not exist. This is how I end the program today. I want to thank you for making it possible for me. I'm leaving you with a song by Desire.